Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project on Thursday, December 21st at 10:09 p.m. Mountain Time. Solstice 2017, bringing you a grand solar minimum update. You're looking at the albedo effect from the Thomas Fire from space on the December 16th. Here's the 17th and the 18th. Boom! That fire's out, folks, but it burned everything. 17th, 16th, 17th, 16th, or 18th. This is the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. The fire's out. There could be some hot spots. This is coming directly from NASA, a December 20th tweet. I will leave you links. Arctic air blast Manitoba could bring the coldest Christmas since 1996 to Winnipeg. Boom! That's a record. And if you continue to read on here, it starts at minus 10 and 16 here. Look at the temps. Minus 10, minus 22, minus 24, minus 25, and so on and so forth. The forecasts are in, and it looks like Winnipeg's head is for the grand solar minimum. And its conditions don't look particularly warm for the rest of Manitoba either. The National Weather Service said highs between minus 10 and minus 16 CR expected Friday. And things could then get really cold next week, with forecast overnight lows colder than minus 30 C and daytime highs in the minus 20s. The wind chill, it could feel like minus 35 to minus 40 in southern Manitoba or minus 50 in the north next week. Heads up! And that is a boom for science. Global warming much? I don't think so. This is coming from the Washington Post. Like an open freezer, the Arctic will dispense a plume of frosty air that will envelop large parts of the lower 48 next week, starting Christmas Day and lasting through New Year's until no one can stand outside any longer. Minus 35 in Kansas City on the 29th. Heads up. Watch this progression. I'll leave you links to it. Minus 29 in Bismarck on the 28th. Minus 35 in Kansas City on the 29th. Brrr! Grand solar minimum much? Guys, this is coming from Norway. This is not the sun rising, but a fireball. We'll get to that. Totally out of place. Here's this snowfall forecast for the 21st to the 24th. Next 3 days. It just snowed here pretty much all day. We're down here. And so most of the Northwest and the Rockies, we're going to have a white Christmas. You guys over here in northern Michigan is looking good for you. That's the current GFS. Record daily maximum rainfall set in Kahului. Someone in Hawaii is like, Diamond, your last video was so harsh on us. Hawaii is great. It's fine. It always rains like this. Okay, a record rainfall 5.78 inches was set in Kahului on Wednesday, breaking the old record for the same day by crushing it, by almost doubling it since 1955. Unless you've been alive for 70 years, you haven't seen double the rain that was the record. So that's a heads up. Not to mention you're on an island where 90% of your food comes from imports. Currently, the farming and permaculture industry in Hawaii can only support 10% of your 1.4 million people. So unless you know how to farm for 1.3 million people, I think you're... The National Weather Service recorded 24-hour rainfalls in excess of 8 inches at rain gauges in West Wailawaki and Wailaluku. Oh man, it's just 7 to 10 inches. Crazy. Here's all the records. These are records, and it doesn't rain like that since 1955, and it's double the 1955 record. Hello? STS Temblin Vinta about to hit Surigao del Sur in the Philippines, reaching typhoon strength before Vietnam. This is one typhoon after another entering this region. Oh my God. Cosmic ray flux much? Winter is coming. Yeah, it's here today. Exploding stars could lead to ice age, warn scientists. This is reverse fear-mongering, telling the truth in a totally asinine way to destroy credibility to cosmic rays. So we will not talk about it. We will talk about the space weather. Guys, I have a lot of stuff to share with you that's pretty banging. The sun has become weirdly active. This cluster of B flares that are asymmetrically left-leaning. It almost looks like the waves in the ocean. Coming by this extreme perturbation in the temperature anomaly here. There's another perturbation here in the solar wind speed, and definite perturbations in the density, decreasing then increasing. So what I did was I came over to Soho, and I remembered today there will be a sun-diving comet. And we're going to watch it come into the screen here. Boom. Okay, there she is. And this is LASCO C2, which you're going to get a much better view of that same comet. Here she comes. Glorious. Look at that baby. Now, I don't know if this sun-diving comet has to do with the geomagnetic activity and that perturbation that's coming off of the sun currently. But there probably is a connection. We can go faster. And you can see that baby. Let you get in there. So the activity you can see is already increasing on the sun as this is coming in, as if the sun knows that this is coming. So that's what happened today. And on the sun, we're getting some geomagnetic, we're getting some strange activity here on the surface of the Earth here with the temperature and the wind speed, with perturbations in the density. And we have this B flare activity that almost pops up to low C range here as this sun-diving comet came in. So this is the reaction to a sun-diving comet on the sun. Tiny little guy. Now imagine if a big object came into the sun. What kind of a result would that happen? Especially with our weakening magnetosphere, the geomagnetic effects are going to be ever increasing. So small perturbations could have big effects on the surface of our planet. And there's some filament activity on the sun here. This is not going to work for us today. It appeared that this rope detached and it's not down. It's not available for us to run. I apologize. If it's anything of significance, we will cover it. Minor activity here as far as seismically, but there was another minor earthquake of 5.2 in Iran with causing 26 injuries today. Let's check the KP index to see if we're psychic. Absolutely. We've been in KP 0 now for 369 hours. And that's a heads up. We could be looking for a large earthquake popping off while we're doing the video. No other quakes of note in particular. Guys, do you know about the volcanic report this week? Volcanoes have been active because cosmic rays have been on the increase now for 11 days. We have Agung, Bezimiani, Canelon, Klyuchevskoy, Pakaya, Shishaldin, Stromboli, all erupting. New activity, unrest in the last 6 days. I'll leave you the volcanic activity report. Plus, it goes on to describe the other 19 erupting volcanoes if you want to get familiar with them. Sinubong, etc. Kilauea, Ibico, Dukono. Gives you links. I'll leave you links down in the description box, which is down to the bottom left of the video where it says show more. Click on that. Let's talk about another Kamchatka volcano violently erupting today. And that's Klyuchevskoy, the day after Bezimiani erupted 50,000 feet into the stratosphere. Klyuchevsky right upstream. I'll show you the location of these volcanoes in a second after we discuss the eruption. The Klyuchevsky volcano in Kamchatka spewed ash 7 kilometers above sea level today. At the Institute of Volcanology, the volcano emitted steam to 7 kilometers. The ash spread 68 kilometers in an eastward direction, similar to Bezemiany. Now, here is the Kamchatka Peninsula here. This point here off the Aleutians, follow it down, and if you come here on USGS map, you'll see smoke coming out of Klyuchevsky as in this satellite image. This is Klyuchevsky, this is Bezemiany in this volcanic field. Bezemiany is the center small volcano in this volcanic field here, and Klyuchevsky is this amazing volcano that's smoking on satellite imagery here. And this is what erupted today, 68 kilometers to the east and 7 kilometers high. So that's a heads up. The Kamchatka Peninsula is alive and awake and erupting. I'll leave you links to everything, including the Klyuchevsky volcano report from today for the ash advisory. That's a heads up. Bright fireball exposed over southern Norway with that misplaced picture earlier that I got rid of. I'm sorry, there is no live video. It was a large fireball. What's interesting of note here is this is another remnant of 3200 Phaethon dragging more material, the parent body of the Geminids. Here's another one that almost hit Earth. So the next few years are going to be interesting, if not the next few days. The atmospheric entry speed of the meteoroid was 17 kilometers per second. And if you just come down here to do a quick search, last year at the same time, there was a large meteor exploding over Norway on December 10th. And then January 17th, a daylight fireball exploded over Norway. So we're not out of the woods until past the 17th. This is fireball season in Norway. Heads up, boom, science. Oh, I love it when everything comes together like that. NASA's pivoting to aliens, which they term astrobiology, so it doesn't scare you. Yes, that's the search for life in space. If you guys watch Tyler from Secure Team, you know what I'm talking about. Boom, boom, boom. So, on Wednesday, NASA announced its selection of 2 robotic mission concepts to the top finalists for a launch to be held in the mid-2020s. An exploration of Saturn's moon Titan and a trip to a comet to retrieve compound samples for lab testing so they can find out that comets contain no ice. While the missions are radically different in what they'll investigate, both underscore a large pivot in NASA's allocation of time, resources, and manpower towards extraterrestrial worlds in the hopes of one day finding the Greys. Let's talk about the grand solar minimum. For those that are still confused, we're going into the Eddy minimum or the Landscheid minimum. And this used to say the Gleisberg minimum, but I've replaced it with the Centennial minimum to not confuse. And here was the Dalton minimum from 1790 to about 1830. And the Centennial minimum is from about 1875 to 1915. Now, the Dalton and the Centennial were not grand minimum. These were minor minima. At the 100 to 206 year scale, the grand minima occur every 206 to 400 years, which is the Maunder minimum and the double minima, including the entire mini ice age. Now, if you just watch Ben Davidson's update from Suspicious Observers, he was showing a 100,000 year Milankovitch scale from the Antarctic ice core. And it's the unfortunate fact that at the culmination of all these grand minimas, at the middle of the great year, and the middle of the 100,000 year cycle, shortly after the beginning of it, it drops off into a major glacial period for a very long time. Now, guys, this bottom point here corresponds to the Dalton and Centennial minimums combined. This reduction in temperature on the planet. And we are living in the star. And after every double peak, there is a straight drop off. Here's the double peak here, straight drop off. Peak, peak, drop off. So we've had the double peak, and we are well aware that the sun is shutting down. Unlike any other time, this is a time when all events are culminating simultaneously. We have the reduction of the primer fields of the sun and the drop in total solar irradiance lower than it has ever been in recorded history with the bottom of cycle 24. So the next year and a half is uncharted territory. Cycle 25 is predicted to be even lower, which is lower than uncharted territory. You combine this with an Arctic cycle that's about to unleash a 7-year cooling period that Ben talked about, and the fact that we're at the middle of the Great Year and the Heinrich event, which causes sea level to drop. We are exactly halfway in the Great Year, which is when the Heinrich event happens, from the catastrophic sea level rise that happened 12,900 years ago. We are now at the catastrophic sea level fall that happens at the middle of the Great Year, which ushers in 12,900 years of glaciation, a major glacial cycle during the Ice Age that we currently live in. And this is the beginning. So you're going to live through the beginning of the onset of the next glacial period. And unfortunately, it's catastrophic. Earthquakes, volcanoes, cataclysms globally, a reduction in human population, and difficulty to survive unless you're prepared. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance during the eddy minimum. You have time. You can start reading. Go to the library. Learn about solar cycles. The past is the key to the future. Read about the centennial minimum and the Dalton minimum, and you'll know what's going to happen in the next 2 years. Then read up on the Maunder and the mini ice age, and you'll know what's going to happen in the next decade. Then read about the Pleistocene, and if you're young, you know what's going to happen when you're old. Guys, I hope you got something out of the video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do so now. If you have any questions about these cycles, we're going to be answering them in upcoming videos that describe the Great Year, the Milankovitch cycles, what I've studied my entire life as far as the geologic record is concerned, and how it's expressed in the sedimentary environments on the Earth. I've seen these cycles, the Great Year cycles, in every basin, everywhere on the Earth, for the entire geologic history of our planet. This is an extra cosmogenic forcing mechanism that is forcing the Great Year. It's from outside of our solar system. It's been happening forever, leading credence to the idea that the universe has been here forever as well. Food for thought. Be safe.